When I first started considering teaching a hybrid course at William and Mary, what I didn't want to lose was the close connection that, especially in the English department, we're lucky enough to have with our students because we have pretty small courses. And I knew that that was what the students come here for, that that's what they benefit from, and I didn't want to do anything that would disturb that. But one of the things that I thought I might actually even be able to do with a hybrid course was strengthen that, even though that might seem counterintuitive. So that was one of my aims. I also thought that a hybrid course had to really require students to be very motivated and very active in class and outside of class, because I also knew that hybrid courses, if they were poorly constructed, could encourage students to be passive consumers of knowledge unless the time in class was used very carefully and the materials that were consumed outside of class really demanded active participation and engagement. So I think those were the two things that I wanted to make sure I held on to teaching a hybrid course at William and Mary. The reason that I thought I might be able to actually improve students' experiences in actually both of those areas by teaching a course in hybrid form and not solely in person is that I, first of all, realized that if I taught in a hybrid format, I could take the time that I would have spent in class if I were teaching in person. That is, normally I teach two 80-minute sessions. And I could take my class of 30 and I could split them in two. And I could teach the course as two seminars with the same syllabus, rather than meeting my 30 students twice a week in person. And then the material that the students consumed outside of class would be instead of the second session that they would have had in person. That the students got a small group experience, which they wouldn't have had otherwise, and that having that smaller group experience would allow me to really encourage them to speak in class, to draw them out, to support and strengthen their relationships with one another in the classroom context. And if I were able to do that in the classroom context, that would make it more likely that they would seek me out outside of the classroom and really feel that I was their personal tutor, which is one of my aims. I also felt that what I ask my students to do outside of class when I'm teaching wholly in person is to read books. And I want my students to read books. But I realized that by asking them to read books and not asking them to do anything but read outside of class meant that they would come to class having read a book but not necessarily having thought about their book. So I liked the idea that their work for the hybrid course would be reading the book, but then completing an online module that forced them to engage actively with the reading that they'd done and with the materials that I posted. They would have a series of different tasks to work through to complete the online portion of the course. Maybe they would have to watch a 2-minute video of me, then a 3-minute video of somebody else that I found and constructed. Maybe then they have to read a website. Maybe then they have to watch a video of me annotating the website or text and talking about it. Once I found this fantastic radio program that I posted for them to listen to, other kinds of reading that they then had to comment on. So I tried to make it really, really varied, but also force them to think about the reading that they'd just done, so that when they came to class, they would be really well prepared. And I interspersed in the online modules quizzes, short answer questions, required postings that they had to do that I would read and grade before class, so that when they came into class, not only had they done all of that work in preparation, but I knew what they'd done and what they'd thought about.